Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 10,000 Roads to Financial Independence. Today, I have Prashanth Kumar with me, and Prashanth is the principal owner of My Realty Gans Management LLC. And he currently is a apartment syndicator. And also he asset manager and operates some of the deals over there as well. And he coming from a W-2, which is daytime job scenario. And so today we're going to interview Prashant and understand how he came about become who he is and then gain his success in the multifamily arena. Welcome so much, Prashant, for our show today.
Elisa, thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So, Prashant, we always ask our guests, this is our first question. We don't really have any other traditional questions other than who do you think gave you the biggest influence as you grow up that contribute towards your entrepreneur mindset? And basically giving you the influence on, understanding passive incomes and the kind of investment mindset as well.
See, I'm the first generation W2 employee in my family. So
Wow.
my family comes from a business background, and ever since from the childhood, like when I remember 8 year old, I used to help my parents and grandparents in their their business work. Not so much in trading myself. We used to trade goods and stuff, but more on management side, managing financial transactions, going doing some work, providing helping hands.
Mm.
So I never saw a fixed salary coming to my home.
Oh,
it was
wow.
always it was always like, in this year we are going to make this much, so
Mm.
that's how we should make our budgets for next year, right?
Yeah.
So it was always like that. And there would be a bunch of time when there would not be any cash flow. We would stock up merchandise, and then when the season comes, we used to kind of sell it out at a higher price.
Gotcha.
So so that was always sort of a entrepreneurial background in my head. It was so difficult for me to accept a job out of college, paying me a few bucks. And I was like, man, I would be working full day for this much money. I
Yeah.
mean, not that money was not that money was bad, but the idea of me working from morning 8 to evening 6 and not doing anything else in my life, that was very painful. I mean,
Yeah.
there was really no time left in the initial days after you work for that long. But I mean, slowly I got accustomed to it. It took
Mhm.
me a couple of years to get used to it. But when money started rolling in and starting making more money in the consulting world and all that, then that became my lifestyle.
Mhm.
My parents still used to say, what else are you doing? And I would say, where is the time to do what else? There's
Yeah.
nothing. There's no other time.
Yeah.
So,
You're kind of
so
trading
I
time for income essentially at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And then
always used to crib that I never had enough time to do what I really wanted to do.
uh
And that kind of brought me, after 20 years of my work in the industry, as a consultant, as a high paying job. In my high paying job, I finally said, let me start doing something where I am creating a residual value
mhm.
for myself, when things are working for me, even though I'm not working.
Right.
So 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 that led to my involvement into real estate. I started buying single families. Then I realized single family is not the way to go. It's
Yeah.
just not the way to go. It took me 3 months to buy a freaking $100,000 home. It was not worth my time. I could have cut the check, but all gurus say that leverage, leverage, leverage. Do not put your money down. So
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
in the first year itself, I bought my multifamily, 24 unit multifamily for myself, right
Yeah.
then and there, in like 8 months time period. And after that, I have never bought any single family, only multifamily, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. There's so much unpack there. So I'm gonna slowly unpack it for our listener over here. So first of all, when you said that you had a family business, well, your family had a family business, and you were like the first generation of daytime job holder, essentially. So what type of business were your family running back then?
So
Uh,
Yeah, we were the wholesaler for clothing business, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So we were never, as I said, we were never retail, we were wholesale.
Mm,
But the way business was that we would stock it up during off season, like it was for the
mm,
warm clothes, like the rims of those clothes.
mm.
So in the summer we would stock it up when the prices go down, and in the winter we would sell it.
Gotcha.
So I had seen all that raw material in our warehouses, and we
Right.
used to play and all that. But in winter it will all go away because it will all be sold at a higher price.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, so and then that obviously there's a lot of inventory management. Now looking back to that, do you feel like you have acquired not only the mindset like, hey, this is possible to be an entrepreneur, but also like maybe some skill sets that you have kind of acquired from there. I don't know how much your parents had you like running in that business, obviously.
Yeah, no, obviously, I mean, it is not about how technical was it. There were no computers back then.
Mm,
All the work used to be done on paper. All the negotiate, there were phone lines, very little phone lines. So we would be very much involved in the day-to-day activity. If we
gotcha.
had one customer in a day, that was enough for us,
Yeah.
because one customer would buy the wholesale,
So,
the
yeah.
wholesale or if we do one transaction in a day, it was like 3-4 hours worth of work in a day. And
Mm.
we had so much time to play around, the family,
Oh, that's nice.
everybody would come over. So that was, that time freedom which we had,
Yeah.
that was a difficult concept for me to fathom in
Yeah.
totality, that I would not have it when I started my first job.
Right, right. So how come in the family entrepreneurs, you are the first one that holds a daytime job? What part of the logic does that kind of fit into?
Yeah, so my father, my father's health was not good. My
Mm,
grandfather and my father used to work together, and
got-
my of course, my grandfather was aging also, and the business was declining. So my father said, listen, you cannot do this business. Let's just wrap it up. And he continued to do, even though I went into job. I started doing my W-2 job.
mm,
He continued to do the business for a few years, but after that, as people grow, your need for the money goes down. So
right.
he kind of wrapped it up. He said, "Listen, I'm done. You are on your own now. Basically, you are taking care of yourself." And
Yeah,
of course, being the elder son in my family, we have the culture of taking care of the parents.
right.
Similarly, like your culture, possibly.
Mm,
So I said, "Okay, I'm earning enough. You don't need to work,
yeah.
and just take it easy." So he just takes it easy.
Gotcha, gotcha. That's cool. So then you presumably went to college and then graduated from the college and got a job. Is there a decision point where you decided why do you do and then your day job is in what?
Computer engineer.
Computer engineer. And then is there a reason why you went into that field specifically?
So it was like, that was like a boom of computer science, right?
Gotcha.
And I was, knock on the wood, I was a good sort of a good student, and I had, so my grandfather said, no, you are not going to this business. I don't want, you have to get out. So
Right.
I studied hard to get into college. I studied like real hard. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about at least 6,400 hours worth of work,
Yeah.
uh, just to get into the college.
Right, right.
So
Because the system in India it's probably similar to Chinese system where you kind of grow up, but there's a layers of competition to even get to
absolutely,
college and
absolutely,
even better
absolutely,
colleges. Yeah,
absolutely, too much competition. I remember securing second position in out of 70,000 students, and
nice,
that one plus, wherever I applied, I got some position. And
nice.
there it was like boom of computer science at that time, 94, 95
Right,
at that time. So somebody said you have to take computer science, and that was like number one
right.
choice for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah. So it
So
was choosing for you per se
yeah,
in
it
some
was
way.
already chosen for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you jumped in, and that's it. You just, that's how it went. You went to
Yeah.
the college for 4 years out of home, and then I never went back home. It was like going and doing your job outside the hometown, Italy, whatever, then England, and then United States within 1 year.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So
And how is
uh,
that, transition of being misplaced, um, in some ways from India then to, England, you said, and then to US? Like, how is that kind of transition happen? How did you end up in US?
so basically at that time, if you remember pre 2000 boom, Y2K boom, everybody was, it was like India had this ginormous manpower of computer science professionals, and they were
Right.
needed like all over the world
Yeah.
at that moment in 1995, 1996 timeframe. When I graduated in 95, within 1 year, I got an opportunity to go to England.
Yeah.
And, you know, basically, I went to England, but, United States was the final destination at that time.
Yeah.
So if I would tell somebody that I'm going
Exactly.
to United Kingdom, they would say, "You're going to United Kingdom only? Why are you going there?"
Right.
People would talk to me like that. I
Right.
said, "Man, this is bad." Being on the top of the class, I said, "Let me see if I can find some opportunity in the United States."
Right.
I mean, it was good enough. I loved it. Don't take me wrong. I
Yeah.
loved it. I would go back anytime uh, to Europe and whatever.
Yeah.
But I ended up being here in 97. I came here in 97, 98 time frame. And
Yeah.
that's it. Ever since I've been doing consulting, working in life sciences industry for many, many pharmaceutical companies, wholesalers, distributors, Pfizer, Bayer, you name it. I have worked with all of these big pharma companies.
Got it. So it's kind of like a informational IT worker, but in a pharmaceutical realm,
That is correct.
you're saying.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's actually really great. So now fast forward, how did you get into your first investment? Where it comes about. Yeah.
You see, I'm a very, very heads down kind of person. My blinders are always on. So all these years, I was like working like this on my job.
Right.
So not looking at anything else. Even now, I don't look at too many things. I'm very focused in
Uh-huh.
what I do. I mean, that's how I am. It's good or bad.
Yeah.
But my brother-in-law, he is into real estate. He does single family,
Uh-huh.
and he said, brother, you have to buy something.
Right.
So he kind of forced me. I mean, he's my sort of a mentor to begin with,
Mhm.
for single family. So he asked me to buy something. He just said, "You just buy it." He said, "You buy this
Right.
house." So I said, "Okay, I'll cut the check and I'll buy it."
Hopefully it's not 2010 that he's like, you just
Eh,
buy. Yeah.
no, it was not 2010. It was 2017, 16 actually. He said,
16.
"You buy this house." Okay, I said, "Okay, I'll buy it." But once I bought one, I said, "Look, one doesn't give you anything. It's like $100, $200." I said, "What the heck? I don't need this."
Right.
But I bought a few more. I mean, I bought few more, two, three
Yeah.
more. But even then, I'm not getting enough money out of
Right.
that. No
Yeah.
cash flow. It's like few $100. What the heck?
And where were you buying these single family homes?
So one I bought out of state in Texas. That was
Okay.
my first one. After that, I bought two in New York.
Okay.
Not too. I mean, like half an hour from my home.
And that's where
But
you
I
like
yeah, but I
that.
was not very happy. I bought them in foreclosure. I had to fix it up and put the tenant in.
Yeah.
It was not worth my time. Long story
Right.
short, it was not, that effort was not worth my time. Um,
Yeah.
looking for contractors fix it up, contractors cheat, whatever. I mean, something
Yeah.
happens. So, but finally, I had a tenant in them. It took me four months, at least 4 5 months, for them to become operational.
Mhm.
um, and I said, "Buddy, this is not worth my time. I mean, I'm not here to make 100 $200 for these freaking smaller homes."
Yeah.
And I had to do something bigger. I mean, it took so much time from the bank to sign the loan. I said, "Man, this is crazy. It's not." I mean, if you guys do it, how long does it take?
Right.
Banks take a long time to approve, because it goes my debt to income ratio.
Right.
And the moment I was going to third or fourth, at that time, bank says your income is not that much. And
Right.
I
Right.
said, "Buddy, I'm making enough money. I have enough cash flow." but
Right.
they, you
You
know,
even cash flow like in New York, and that's pretty rare already. Like usually the properties in New York don't really cash flow. You actually have to pay the bank mortgages more than what your rents are.
yes, yes, definitely. I mean, I mean, I was hardly making any money. I mean, money was not the question because I bought it for appreciation,
Yeah,
so it was okay. But still, it was not. The time invested was not worth.
yeah.
I had a mentor. He taught me, so I ended up buying few things.
Uh-huh.
But in first year, like 8 months time frame itself, I said, "Listen, I'm done."
Yeah.
And
That's
I,
good. That's good that you figured out something really quickly versus a few of
yeah,
us had like being in single family place for 5 to 6 years before, even getting into the multifamily realm.
I will tell you the story. I mean, the first multifamily I bought, from the day I saw that and the day I bought, it was only 18 days.
Nice. Wow.
I
How
flew
so
to,
how did that transaction go? Tell us a little bit more detail on that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I happen to know a wholesale. I was like on connected investors,
Yeah.
on bigger pockets like everybody else, reading new things. Then here comes, somebody, and I said, okay, listen, show me the property. He showed me the property. We started talking. It turned out that that friend of mine, I mean, that guy, that wholesaler was really an old time friend of mine
Uh-huh.
with whom I was talking after 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, then and there you build a level of trust,
Right.
instead of somebody, a new trying to sell you $1 million property.
Right.
You had some level of trust there.
So
Okay.
how did you know this friend for 20 years? Like what other part of your life did he come from?
So
You know?
when I came to United States, like everybody else, we used to live in apartment complexes and all that, and a bunch of Indian friends, and all of them had like background to play cricket.
Ah,
Everybody plays cricket, so every
right.
evening we would go downstairs in basketball court. We would play cricket, and
Yeah.
that's where he was. You know, when we started talking, oh yeah, in 1998, we used to live in the same apartment complex. We used to
Uh-huh.
play together. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, not for long, maybe for 5 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after that, you kind of go away, go in different directions. So we
Right.
forgot. It just turned out that when I started talking to him, it turned out to
Small
be
world.
my
Yeah.
friend from that time.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So he got you a deal, and where is this property located? Is it still in New York?
No, that property is in Mission, Texas. That's the
Okay.
that's the lowest most point in United States. I can actually walk from my property to Mexico.
Oh
I
wow.
can, like 5 minutes, I can be in Mexico. If
Yeah,
I want to.
south, most south. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
southmost town. So it's McAllen. We fly into McAllen, and then
Uh-huh.
right there.
Yeah.
This is Mission, Texas. So he showed me the property and he showed me the cash flow.
Uh-huh.
I said, okay, let me go and have a look at the property. So I jumped onto the plane on, I still remember, 12th of December. That was my birthday. So
Yeah.
I was flying. So yeah, I saw the property. I said, okay, I'm buying it. So
Yeah.
he introduced me to the banker right there, local bank.
Nice.
He introduced me to the property manager, and we were discussing with the seller and everything. We finalized the deal right then and there. I signed the purchase contract. In next 10 days, bank, it took me 1 hour to send bank my personal financial statement and statement of real estate owned.
Uh-huh.
Bank approved the loan, and here you go. On 29th of December, the property was closed.
Wow. Wow.
So,
That's
so
a
I
that's a
said,
very fast loan because with the bank.
because
Uh
bank, yeah,
yeah. So why did it move so fast? Because we always know, like even with local bank nowadays, it takes about 45 days to close
it
commercial
does. It
transaction.
does. I mean, it was, bank, it's like bank wanted to close before 31st because
Oh,
they had to meet their own quotas, right?
gotcha.
And
Gotcha for
we
the
were
year.
okay. I mean,
Huh.
yeah, I
Yeah.
said we were okay. I said, man, what else can, what else do I want? I mean, in
Yeah.
in
So
12,
now managing that 24 unit, is there kind of a lesson that you learned that you would have shared? What would you do differently? What did you do that you feel like it was very successful with that 24 unit? Obviously, so successful you decided to quit, your single family venture.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
No, that was, I mean, of course, like any transaction, you always have some hiccups. Seller wanted more money, blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
But eventually it closed. But ever since it closed, I have not lifted a finger. My property manager, my friend who has referred me the property manager, she's just so good.
Yeah.
I don't have to call. I mean, for years I didn't call her at all. I mean,
Yeah.
I would call her like once in 3 months, once in a quarter. Nowadays, I have made a habit that I call her at least once in 15 days for
Yeah.
5 minutes to know what is the vacancy.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
The COVID. Yes.
yeah, due to the COVID, yes, for
Yeah.
last 1 year I've been calling her, but um, she's extremely. My property manager was so good, so that kind of motivated me.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not everything is that simple, right?
Oh. Yeah.
Yes, she was a good example, so I started buying more,
Yeah.
and my other properties also. I've knock on the wood. I've been blessed that my property managers
Yeah.
are good. You know,
Got it. Yeah. So
I
that's
got a,
really a key. So did you buy more property then after you closed the 24 unit in that submarket? Did
in
you?
that submarket. I did not in that submarket. I personally did not buy anything.
Uh-huh.
I referred a couple of my friends to my friend,
Yeah.
the wholesaler friend, and they bought something.
Uh-huh.
But the reason I did not buy anything was economy of scale. I didn't want to buy. I mean, I was about 20. I was done with 24 also. My
Right.
thought was buy anything above 100
Uh-huh.
or at least above 75, 70 units.
Yeah. Why
So
so?
yeah, so that was basically primarily for the fact that I would have an on-site property manager,
Gotcha.
dedicated person either for the maintenance or the at least one person on site always. So
Well,
that kind of works out with 75 to 80 units at least. If you have 100 units, even better.
yeah.
So I ended up buying a 72 unit in
Uh-huh.
Indianapolis.
Nice.
There
Yeah.
I have a property manager and a maintenance guy on my staff.
Gotcha.
So like this 24 unit, that 72 unit is also like I don't touch it. I don't
Yeah.
have to call my property manager. I
Yeah.
get a text on first of every month. Please withdraw this much money from the account.
Nice.
So that's all I care, right? I mean, the guy is so good. His
Yeah.
his salary is on auto pay. All he just does everything automatic.
Yeah. So
He,
how did you find that property management company?
so yeah, that is a long story. Basically, I did a promotion, not promotion, a calling campaign.
Uh-huh.
So I had called around in the Northeast, like Indianapolis, Ohio, in those states. So
Yeah.
there I had few leads, and I ended up talking to a gentleman for a year.
Uh-huh.
And that's like a case study, real case study,
Yeah.
a real life case study that I talked to him. He lives in Chicago. My property is in Indianapolis. I live in New York. I talked to him today. I said we hit it on the very good note.
Uh-huh.
Listen, I'm coming. I said, listen, I'm coming to meet you in
Yeah.
Chicago. Property
Yeah.
was in Indianapolis. I said, okay, I'm going to come. He said, why are you coming here? I said, just want to meet you. I mean, I'm like a very,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
handshake kind of a person. So I
Yeah.
went and met him in Chicago. Long story short, he said he was like, okay, I want to sell it, but I'm not ready yet. Blah blah blah. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'll still go and look at the property.
Uh-huh.
I gave him an offer. He didn't accept it for a couple of months. I said, that's fine. Whenever you are ready. So, and he kept on dragging for a year. And I said, yeah, that's fine. And
Yeah.
finally, we became friends. And he said, Prashant, if I'm going to ever sell this property, I'm going to sell it to you.
Uh-huh. That's good. So long-term
So,
relationship building.
year later, he called me. Yeah, I was on vacation. I was on a cruise. My phone was half working, and here comes a call. Are you ready to buy? I said, yeah. Send me the contract.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
he sent me the contract. So his staff, I just acquired his staff. He
Gotcha.
had he had somebody like real good, and
Gotcha.
he said this guy is good. And I have been talking to that property manager for a year also, by the way,
Yeah.
because I had open access. She was not like hiding anything. He said, "Go talk to a property manager."
Right.
So I had good terms with that guy also.
Uh-huh.
So I said, "Listen, I'm going to hire. Are you interested?" He said, "Yeah." I mean, he has been working on that property for 6 years.
Yeah.
I just ended up buying, just acquiring. He came on board on my payroll basically.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's
Yeah,
cool. So you're basically kind of vertically managing it per se, so that you
yeah,
actually manage just the supervisor essentially
yeah.
yourself. Gotcha.
Yes. I mean, because of the bank, I had to have a property management company in between, but that was just primarily for the shell purposes.
Gotcha.
But I got rid of them, and after a year or so,
Gotcha.
they were not the best. I mean, there were some discrepancies here and there. I said, listen. So I asked my property manager to open a company in his name.
Uh-huh.
So I'm contracted to him, but essentially, uh,
Yeah.
he's my staff, so to say.
Gotcha. 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 Very interesting. Very creative. Um, and so you found a property in like were you targeting Indianapolis market specifically? Because now you
Yes.
have a property in Texas, and then why did you decide that market?
So I am fascinated by Indianapolis market, like Midwest, Ohio, Indianapolis, and Kentucky in that region, uh,
Mhm.
because of the stable income. It's very stable market, doesn't go too high, doesn't go down too much
Gotcha.
in a single family scenario.
Yeah.
So overall, I like that market. So I said, listen, I'm just going to focus on, I had to start somewhere, right?
Mhm.
So I wanted to do a campaign. I said, where should I do it? I said, let me do it here. So
Uh-huh.
I made a circle. I said, I'm going to target this area
Gotcha.
because I like that area. And, you know, I got nine leads out of whatever number of calls you made, 2,000, 3,000
Gotcha.
calls. And one lead got materialized after 1 year.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
I mean,
So that's the funnel. Yeah.
yeah,
And then so you were having a W-2 job when you're doing all that stuff, right?
yes, yes.
How do you kind of balance? Because a lot of people who wants to get over, they are having the daytime job, like you said, a 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever it is long. And then how do you kind of then transition from there or be able to find time to essentially find these properties? Because you make it sound so easy, but sounds like there's a lot of groundwork actually going in and identifying the deal. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, see, basically because I come from India, I always rely on a lot of outsourcing
Uh-huh.
habits, right? I
Uh-huh.
mean, even in IT here, we do outsource a lot of work to Indian or any other place. We outsource it. So
Yeah.
my thought is always, rather than doing it myself,
Uh-huh.
I should train somebody who can do it for me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I outsourced my calling company. I would have a VA to work with me. So instead of spending 5 hours or 3 hours a day on real estate, I would spend an hour
Uh-huh.
in which I
Wow.
would train the VA. Yes, VAs work like VAs do.
Yeah.
I
Virtual
mean, they're
assistant.
not you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if I can save 1 hour in their 8 hours of work, if I can save 2 hours, that is good enough for me.
Mm.
So that was my thought. I said yes, I would have to pay a little bit, and that eventually it's some payment, right? You want pay whatever $1,000, whatever, to a
Yeah.
VA, but it saves me at least 2 hours a day.
Right.
If it saves me 2 hours a day, then it is worth. Uh,
Right. And then you have the full-time job to kind of potentially paying them essentially a way of a bootstrap the
yeah,
cost on a business. Gotcha.
yeah. So your money, plus my full time job was consulting job, so I'm a 1099 person.
Gotcha.
So for me to write it off, that payment is not a problem at all.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah.
So whatever money comes in, I just pay somebody else as on 1099, and this is like a business expense for me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
So it saves me time. I have had many VAs. Right now I don't have any, but I have a marketing company who does a lot of work for me. I mean, uh, do they do the 5 star work? I probably won't say it 5 star,
Yeah.
but are they 4.5? Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Good enough.
so
Yeah.
But that's good enough. I don't have to spend time. I said, listen,
Yeah.
guys, you do it. I don't do it.
Yeah, you just sit on the beach and sipping mai tais instead.
Hopefully, hopefully in my dreams.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's amazing. And so you talked about virtual assistant. Now, is there some lessons that you can share with us? Because often people were like, well, because you have to hire a virtual assistant, me included, had a bad experience with some virtual assistant. It takes a while for you to find the
trust.
right one.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to find a good virtual assistant, and I have hired at least 20 of them, and I have fired almost all of them.
Yes.
So
Um, but
I
how do
do
you?
have some experience. I mean, my friend is working on trying to create an SOP.
Okay.
Uh, he's hiring, and he's in one of my masterminds, and he's hiring I mean, he's part of a mastermind group separately,
Yeah.
and he says when you hire somebody, you give them the right instruction. Do not expect them to think.
Right.
So write step by step instructions and measure their work product.
Gotcha.
Typically, what happens with virtual assistants, they take multiple jobs,
Yeah.
and they don't know whether you are going to be using them next week or not. So they have, for obvious reasons, they need to secure their
Right.
income.
Yeah.
But if you hire a right virtual assistant methodically, in which you take multiple interviews
Uh-huh.
and make sure you are committed to them, you show them that you are committed.
Yeah.
If- and if you pay them a little bit more than what they are asking or what they deserve,
Yeah.
then they tend to stick around with you a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
always continue to hire, and always have a backup always. So you think that you're going to be okay with one, always have at least one and a half or second person in line,
Gotcha. Okay.
because you never know that this guy may quit. But
Yeah.
once you pay them more, you have to have the methodical structure of what they are working on and how much time it will take. Don't
Right.
expect them to look around on the Facebook group and responding on your behalf.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That's not.
Yeah.
You want them to do the set work. You
Yeah.
give them the list and tell them, you do go to this website, or if they are calling VAs, their time is when they logged in and when they log out, and how much time did they work on, what are the steps. So
Yeah.
it's very important for you to write your own script, because
Gotcha.
they cannot talk. I mean,
Yeah.
some people can talk, but I mean, so that's my way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Have Be methodical. Yes, you will have to spend some time up front,
Yeah.
but it will give you a little extra leverage. Don't just think that they are thinking like you.
Yeah. Got it. So in order to get your deal sourcing essentially pipeline all systematically set up, how long do you estimate that took you to like systemize the everything, hire the VA, get that sourced out so that you're achieving kind of like spending like little to no time on that particular pipeline?
I mean, that never happens. There's nothing called little to no time. We always end up
Yeah.
spending a lot of time
Right.
on the deal sourcing, because every deal is different. It comes from different sources.
Uh-huh.
I'm not very good. I mean, I'm just being very frank. I'm not very good in deal pipeline.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I call a lot of brokers. I have connections with a lot of brokers, but I'm not very good in uh, underwriting all of them. Actually, I'm lagging behind right now, because when you start focusing on one project, then
Yeah.
uh, you
The,
know, so that thing is still lacking in my business. Is that I'm not. So part of the reason is the condition of the market, right? I mean,
right.
we are a little scared of getting into more deals.
Yeah.
There are a lot of deals coming every day, but I cannot underwrite. I'm not able to underwrite all of them,
Uh-huh.
or my underwriter is not able to handle that,
Right.
and I'm not
Volume.
able to put LOIs.
Yeah.
However, when I was doing it correctly, I had, deal would come in. I would look at it. Is it in the area? I would send it to my underwriter. He will underwrite it. I'll discuss it with him for half an hour. I'll submit an LOI.
Gotcha.
My
Gotcha.
goal was to at least submit one LOI per month, per week.
Got it.
I
Got
mean,
it.
more
That's
than one,
good.
of course, but one is like at the
Yeah.
lowest number that I would be
Got
I
it.
would be comfortable with.
Got it.
So yeah, long story short, that was my deal flow. Deals come in from all these brokers,
Yeah.
and I always try to make sure that I call one broker a day, at least
Gotcha.
one new broker a day,
Yeah.
wherever it is. Just call somebody, pick up the phone and say, "Hey, listen, I'm interested," whatever. Just introduce yourself.
Yeah.
That's my way of looking at it.
Got it. Got it. Awesome. So and so my understanding, so if you said you weren't very good, by the way, like Prashant's very humble on this. Obviously, he's got his deal flow figured out. But like, so what would you say your strengths are when it comes to multifamily syndication? And how did you actually get into the syndication part?
See, it's basically the same thing. When you buy a multifamily, yes, you can buy one apartment complex, then another apart, but
Mhm.
after that you are out of money. There's no money
Right.
left. Money is always limited, right? I mean,
Yeah.
irrespective of how much you have.
Yeah.
So at that time, you start realizing, money. What should I do now?
Yeah.
Then comes the idea of syndication. You start learning.
Uh-huh.
Fortunately, again, I'm very fortunate that I had a good mentor, a friend of mine. Ed Moselle. He's a very nice gentleman. He's my partner in many many deals,
Uh-huh.
and he's my sort of a neighbor. He's from a neighboring town. Became my friend, and he helped me to get into a couple of deals as a
Yeah.
general partner.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I said in one of the deals, I said, "Listen, guys, I'm just going to help you out
Yeah.
um, for free. I'll
Yeah.
just all the work." I worked for them for like 5 months for free,
Yeah.
and eventually I ended up being a general partner in the deal.
Uh-huh.
But there I learned the most about the syndication business.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I learned so much so that I can even write a book.
Yeah.
Uh, so I mean, everything, like 100 ways how your deals can go wrong.
Yeah.
I can write thousands of pages. How
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
what can happen to a deal.
Yeah.
Uh, so overall, that kind of brought me into. I mean, when you're working on one deal, the moment you're working on one deal, you are connecting with a lot of investors.
Uh-huh.
Because you are connecting with a lot of people, then some other people know you, some attorneys know you. They say, "Oh, Prashant, there's another deal."
Yeah. I
Okay,
see.
then you get exposed to that.
Yeah.
So things start falling into place. It's all mental energy. It starts all the
Yeah.
energy starts channelizing in that direction.
Yeah.
So things
Networking.
start
Yeah.
things starts coming into your way. Networking. You can talk confidently that I have done a deal. Then
Yeah.
people listen to you.
Right.
Otherwise, as a rookie, if I go somewhere in these
Like,
conferences and, "Oh, I've not done any deal," people will move on.
right.
Next
Right.
person.
Right. Right.
So
Exactly.
so you start building your credibility. That's how you start knowing
Yeah.
people. One deal to another deal to another deal.
Nice.
So
Nice.
so that's what has been happening. Some market networking. We met you. Like that in your conference. Plus, I do some of these bunch of things. Like webinars, things like that.
Uh-huh.
So just connecting with more people, basically.
Gotcha. So if I would have to say it, what would you say your superpower is in terms of like running a business or in the syndication like world? Or let's say genericalize it. More like running your business. What would you say like you as an entrepreneur what your superpower is?
I'll let you know as soon as I know it.
Because to me, it seems like it's the networking. Because from your deal
Yes, yes,
sourcing, from getting into all these deals,
yeah,
there's a lot of networking
yes.
involved.
I would say that, although, like everybody else, you really don't have that much time
Yeah.
to network with people. But I try to make an effort to connect, spend time, and I hope that that will continue to grow my business in future.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not proud of what I'm doing. Uh, can I do better? I mean, I always, underestimate myself. Maybe, and
Yeah.
maybe it is my weakness. Maybe it is my strength. But can I do more? I can definitely do more.
Got
But one thing I say is, whatever I do it honestly,
yeah.
humbly, and not trying to fake it till you make it kind of
Yeah.
attitude,
Yeah.
uh,
And I think it's very respectful because you started with like using your own money, try to test out the business plan. And then once it works with a few track record, then you start doing a syndication. I feel like that's a very, maybe not the fastest route to do things, but it's very, the way that I would want to do the business with, which is proven that you have the track record before you bring other people's money into the
yeah,
deals.
my basic idea is, I would not do a deal if I don't want to invest in that.
Right.
you know
Yeah. That
so I
makes
would
sense.
treat others money more than my money.
Hmm.
Typically that doesn't happen, but that is the biggest thing is, I would not, I care about others property more than I would lose my property, but if I lose somebody else's dollar, I would lose my sleep.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely. I think that's what you needed to be as a syndication position, you know.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. And so, Prashant, how could people find you? Um,
So
put that in
you
our show
you
notes.
see the logo behind me, right? My
Yes.
Realty Gains.
Yep.
That's the name of my company, and that's my website also. It's an investor education portal.
Uh-huh.
MyRealtyGains.com. You go there. You can subscribe to my newsletter, my 7-day email course, all free education, or my passionate passive investor club. There you have more education, in-depth education.
In
uh,
multifamily.
you know
Yeah.
my phone number is there on the website. My emails are there.
Cool.
Prashanth at myrealtygains.com. Facebook. There are like 100 ways to find somebody nowadays, right?
Yeah, yeah, we'll put that in our show notes as well for our listener, our viewer on
Yeah.
YouTube to kind of consume as well. And so where do you go from here, Prashant? Like, I have so many more questions, but unfortunately, we're almost at the dot at the end. Couple question I would have is, what is your best deal that you have done so far?
Yeah, my best deal is in Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville has been a good market. We have not exited, but we are already getting higher offers than our underwritten value.
Nice.
So that is, but this was a more of a higher value add opportunity. There's one
Gotcha.
more in Atlanta, which it has been cash flow and pretty stable deal. That
Hmm.
is also one of that I would rate as number two.
Gotcha.
And where am I going from here? I'm just spreading my waters, trying to create a living for myself and for trying to help others to find their financial freedom in
Gotcha.
whatever way I can.
Got it. And then what was the tipping point between, having a daytime job to transition into being a full-time entrepreneur or reaching financial independence?
So the COVID has brought it to me. I'm still employed, by the way. I'm
Uh-huh.
not fully, but I do only part time, very little work.
Right, right.
Uh,
Because you're doing
but
consultant, so that can be scaled dialed way back. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm a consultant, so I can choose not to work anytime.
Uh-huh.
I'm choosing to work sometime and choose not to work some other time.
Yeah.
As the projects go along, I just quit and stop it. And when
Yeah.
there's no project, I choose to go back to work.
Gotcha.
So it is sort of a freedom. I mean, that consulting work, it also is on demand, right? If I
Right.
want to do it, I do that.
Right.
It's not whip on
Don't have
my,
to do it. Yeah.
nobody's slapping my hands to
Yeah.
not show up at work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I'm working on it right now.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then so where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I like, in 5 years, I would like to see myself, doing bigger, better deals with fine people like you. I want to create my network stronger, build a level of trust with the people. Where when I say people, okay, when they call me, they meant something for me,
Yeah.
and if I call them, they mean some. They understand why I'm calling them.
Yeah.
So I want to build that relationship stronger, um, and continue to do what we are doing. Hopefully, create some funds. Do fund of funds. Do more deals, bigger deals, better deals,
Uh-huh.
and helping others.
Yeah.
With all humbleness. I come from a very deep helping others attitude,
Uh-huh.
and this is also one of the ways where you are helping others, so to
Right.
say,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
people
absolutely.
don't, those W2 employees, those do not have time. They are the money is getting devaluated when it is sitting in the bank.
Right.
So I hope we are able to create at least 10% return on their money.
Yeah.
So it is some help for them. I spend a lot of time talking to my friends from the college, 2 3 hours over the weekend, discussing this with them, or in many other groups,
Yeah.
like there are a lot of people we know in the industry,
Yeah.
those who are not in real estate. So I spend a lot of time talking to them, and I hope that will create some impact somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, they will definitely. That's awesome. And last party question we always ask our guests who has kids, is what are you doing with your children in terms of financial education?
Oh my God, that's a very nice question. I love it. So my daughter is in 11th grade right now, junior, and a couple of years ago, I gave her Rich Dad Poor Dad
Nice.
during the summer for her to read, and she loved it. I mean, she remembered it. Now that she's a bright student, she remembered it, and I do this to my son also, who's 7 year old,
Yeah.
and I teach him small things. How to have the money and how to further invest it
Uh-huh.
at an interest or whatever, the things that I learned from my grandfather or my father. I
Yeah.
try to teach them a little bit, one thing at a time,
Yeah.
on becoming a leader, those kind of things.
Yeah.
The books which have taken me to the next level, so I have all those books. So I give one book at a time to my kids basically.
Gotcha. Maybe that remind me. Maybe I should start having my 6-year old start balancing my balances.
No, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Uh,
Really,
you
teacher.
know, you cannot see, but I have a board here. My son spends a lot of time doing the mathematic numbers on that,
Nice.
um, and I try to teach him a little bit things here and there,
Yeah.
because that's the age when they can grasp it
Yeah. Yeah.
faster than you and I can grasp.
Yeah. 7 years
They can
old.
grasp it.
Yeah.
They can fundamentally they can grasp it. I mean, when I gave that Rich Dad Poor Dad book to my daughter, she remembered it after a year. Daddy, where's your cash flow? And then I then I started playing with the Monopoly, or that the other game. I don't
Yeah.
remember the
The
name.
cash flow game.
The cash flow game with
Yeah.
my kids. I That was my favorite game over the weekends.
Nice.
Every day I would play half an hour, and they would always beat me. They would always beat me. I mean, like the small kids, they would 99% of time, actually 100% of time, I never could win.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, they were getting it. I mean, I was like so
Yeah.
poor.
Wow. Well, watch
So
out for Prashanth's kids coming our way.
yeah,
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Prashant, for your time today. And that kind of puts a wrap on our 10,000 Roads to Financial Independence show today. And we really are gracious that you're with us today. And then in order to find out more information from Prashant, go to myrealestategain.com. We're going to put that in the show notes as well to check out what Prashant is doing, all the good stuff that he's doing.
Alisa, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
It's an honor to be here.
thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
bye.